This is WFO Radio.
Hey, everybody. WFO. Joe Castello back with you. Get ready for a little NHRA Camping World Drag Racing this weekend. That's right. We're back, baby. We are back. And I know what you're thinking. Like, when was the last time we were back? The last time we were back was the Amalie Motor Oil NHRA Gator Nationals, basically a month ago now. The previous time that we were back were the finals in Vegas. That's how long it's been. And so I am super excited for another race. If you love NHRA drag racing, now's the time to fall in love again, because we're going racing this weekend in Vegas. It's race week. It's going to be great here on WFO. We got Alan Reinhart, the voice of the National Hot Rod Association, going to be joining us moments from now. We're going to talk about various subjects. We're going to be all over the board. Typical Reinhart conversation where we just dive into 100 different things and sort out some things. And at the end, I will take your comments, thoughts about various things, and I will tell you about the latest project that I'm working on, like the battle against the GTO windows, the war against the GTO window, which we'll get into all of that. Reinhart's all queued up. We'll be there in a second, but I want to thank the people who make it possible for us to do this show. And it's been really amazing over the past couple of weeks. The interest, had some people actually reach out about potential sponsorship, and we just work so hard for the people who make it possible for us to talk drag racing, like Total Seal Piston Rings, the leader in ring seal technology. Hartford and the team going to get ready to be back out there. TotalSeal.com. If you've got a bracket engine or a stock eliminator engine, if you are restricted by rules, you want to talk to them. TotalSeal.com. Hit the website, a brand new website, and you can even get the Hidden Horsepower podcast right from there. Also, my buddy Marvin Rodak, and RodaxCoffeeandGrills.com. This is the Rodax coffee that I'm enjoying today. What is it? The Nitro Madness 2021 Epic Blend. And this is what Marvin does. 817-924-6821. That is unique. He gets coffee from all around the world, has like first or second right of refusal from coffee farms literally all over the planet. Great stuff. And then he gets them in there, and sometimes he does like a Scotch blender, would blend different styles of Scotch, etc., and so on. That's what he does with coffee. And this is a drag racing themed blend. I'm enjoying the heck out of it today. Give him a call, 817-924-6821. And for me, I think that you should try to enjoy whatever we're enjoying on WFO. It's like the new coffee club, like a book club, except we're not reading. We're drinking coffee and like, oh, I like that one. Or, oh, I didn't like that one as much as I liked the last one. Get in on it. Call Marvin. We got the stuff from the Congo as well. It's like, whoa, the Congo. Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School. You want your top alcohol funny car license? You want to get a top alcohol dragster license like Tony Stewart? You want to just drive a dragster for fun? You want to set up a race against your buddies, against your sales team, against your clients? You want to get your rival competitors out there and sort it all out once and for all? FrankHawley.com, the dragster adventure. They can make it happen for you. And samtech.edu, the School of Automotive Machinists and Technology. Start your education at full speed. Talking about Brian Massengill, Judd, Linda. They have created the pathway to become a crew chief, an engineer, a CNC machinist, motorsport EFI tuner. They have done a lot of great things. Judd told us on Hidden Horsepower, I needed machinists, couldn't find anyone. We decided to start a school. Simple as that. Also, big shout out to the folks at Nitro Fish. Had Bo and Randy Lynn on last Thursday. Had a great time along with Joe Santangelo and Joel Warren. You can pick up the WFO Radio 10th anniversary t-shirt there. And the WFO store has got all kinds of good stuff right there on WFOradio.com, including the face coverings for just $10. And there you have it. All right, on with the show. Time to bring on my bud, the voice of the NHRA, Alan Reinhart. What's up, AR?
Hey, what's going on? You know, Joe, I just had a brilliant idea, because I'm not just another pretty face.
No, another brilliant idea. You've had a bunch of good ones. I really should start writing them down.
You should. I think what you just said it, though. I mean, it was your idea. You just didn't really expand on it. The WFO Coffee Club.
Right.
Now, think about it. Listeners send, whatever the thing is. I don't know what the dues would be in the club, right? And then every 2 weeks or every week, you get a different bag.
Yes.
And then everybody can get together and do their reviews and do their stuff and decide what you like and what you hate. And, guys can go, hey, this worked really well with, Bailey's, or, hey, I really like this with a shot or whatever. And That way, good for the sponsors, good for the listeners. Everybody gets to try new coffee. I mean, it would be like if somebody offered me, a beer of the week.
Beer of the week club, as long as they were all Budweiser.
I would try the others. And then wait, can you see that?
Yeah.
I mean, it's an oldie, but it's a goodie.
I like it.
Still up on the wall here in the shop.
Bud Racing. No, you can't get away. We got to get them back. We got to get a beer sponsor back. I love your idea of the coffee club. We actually did that a while ago when we were podcast only in our early growing phases. But sometimes a good idea is not timed appropriately. Maybe we were a little too early. I couldn't shake the bag in people's face. That kind of deal. I'm so glad it didn't open and spill everywhere. But we're going to try to get it going again. That would have been great. Yeah. See, that's the opposite of if the bag opens and spills all over me during the live show where I cannot stop and I must continue, we would get the most viewers ever that we've ever had. But I love it. I like the idea we're going to talk about.
Scrape it all into your shirt and pour it back in the bag. That's what I would do.
Of course. Yeah. No, I'm not going to. Now we got people out there weighing in, and I'm a little super happy and also envious because I'm not going to Vegas. But you are. So you guys have to have like twice as much fun. So some for me. And I've been assured I'll be in Vegas in October, but I don't care. I'm happy that we're going racing. That's what we need to do. We need to race so I can get to Atlanta, my next race. But we are going back racing again. And to me, this is going to be a couple weeks till Atlanta, but now we're getting started. There's going to be a run. There's going to be races to talk about. And to me, that's exciting.
Yeah, it feels like it's been forever since we ran out in Gainesville. Obviously this wasn't the plan, but we're still bobbing and weaving with dealing with the COVID pandemic and the things that we've got to deal with. But no, I think you're right. I think once we get through this, hopefully we'll get back on a little bit more of a regular tour. We're going to be heading out to the East Coast and heading out to some places where the local protocols are going to allow us to come in, put fans in the stands, and hopefully put on a show. So we just need to hope that nothing stupid happens within the next couple of weeks, and we can keep rolling. I'm happy about Vegas. It's good to be going back for racing. Always good to go to Vegas and visit with Jeff and his group out there at the Strip. I'm like mixed feelings about Atlanta, though. I mean, that thing is like circled on the calendar now. Going back to say goodbye. So that's there's been a lot of history at that place, and I've been there, I believe, every year since 1992. And it just, as much as I hate the fact that we're going to say goodbye, and we're going to have plenty of time, obviously, between now and then to talk about it, I'm glad that we get to.
Yes.
I really hate that we never got to go to Englishtown and, knowing that, hey, this is it. Let's soak it in one last time. So anyway, I just, it'll be good to get back to a little bit of a more regular routine, because there's one thing that I have found out, being a contractor, my income is directly tied to the amount of time, to the amount of events that I work. So with pandemic and with rescheduling, my income has been cut back some. My outgo, however, has not cut back, nowhere near the same amount. Now, a lot of that is self-induced. Okay. I mean, everybody's got their monthly, you got this, but I'm still me. So it's like, okay, look, I'm not going to be working for a couple of months, so money's going to be a little tight. Oh, look, there's a shiny thing. Got to have it. And so, I really need to get back to work. One, because I need to get some of the income coming back, and two, the more time that I spend working, the less time that I find shiny things that I really didn't need, didn't want, and in some cases didn't even know existed until I realized I can't live without that.
Right. Appreciating other people's shiny things. Like, that's a wonderful shiny thing that you've got. Can I look at it? Yeah. Okay. That's great. See ya. And that's part of drag racing. No, I agree. I agree completely. The routine coming back, I'm feeling it. We talked on the Ignition show a little bit about it, how this weekend, Formula One, IndyCar, NASCAR, NHRA, drag racing, all in action. As far as regular sports, you got the NBA, got the NHL, like everybody's moving. Like, it's feeling like we're moving towards this feeling of normalcy after the year we've been through. We're not there completely just yet. Of course, everybody, please continue to be safe. There will be rules, 50% capacity, all of that. But you can feel the motion forward. You can feel the change coming. And that's all I ask. It's going to take a little while, but I'm cool about it. I agree with Atlanta. Before we talk racing and cars and stuff, I do want to just various things that happened over the past week since we parted ways. I've got some written down. Maybe there are some more. You and I exchanged some text about some, bummer stuff that happened. As far as good stuff, though, Steve and Natalie Torrance. Haven Charlie Torrance, 7 pounds, 4 ounces, 20 inches. And the next Torrance is here. And I just look forward to Steve turning into like a big softie. Like, that's going to be the fun thing. Like, Steve Torrance, the brash, kind of in your face, tell it like it is guy. Yeah, Steve Torrance. And just turning him into the guy that melts, and maybe even being able to, break him down into tears, talking about his young daughter and what it means. Like, that's going to be fun.
I don't care about Steve a lick. I'm thinking, dear God, let her look like her mother.
Yeah.
Please. We do not need a female version of Steve.
Yes.
But no, I mean, I'm sure that everybody's seen the pictures that were posted on social media and on stuff, and wonderful for them. Glad that everybody's healthy. Glad that it's just great. Anytime we get to bring a new fan into the NHRA family, it's a wonderful thing, and I wish everybody the best. I'm not sure if mother and daughter are going to be making the trip to Vegas. Last I heard, that was still kind of like, but it wouldn't surprise me a bit, because that's just the way it is in NHRA. It's like, we have a new fan, let's bring our new fan out and get him or her indoctrinated to what we do. So congratulations to the family, and hopefully we'll see them in Vegas. If not, I look forward to when we all get to meet the new edition.
Yeah, I think Natalie, like, if I was going to vote, I would say, I know this is crazy and counterintuitive, but I would say stay home and rest. You just did something big. Take a week, see you in Atlanta. But that's me. And, I've been known to slack and I haven't created any people. So I don't know what it goes into. And on the downside, Taylor Gray, who's Tanner's younger brother, who worked on Steve's team when he won the first championship. Great kid. This is Shane and Amber's youngest son. Is following right behind Tanner in the round track career, was involved in a highway accident. You texted me that one. And indications on social media is that he's going to recover, but that was a bummer. And it kind of started off like a chain of just crazy stuff. Joey Gladstone involved in a top end incident. Chris Bostic, David Barron testing motorcycles down there, I guess in Darlington, and all with incidents. Joey, I texted with him yesterday. He says he's still goal is to make the top 10 in points this year. So, but boy, what a tough week.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Can I hear you?
You can. I don't know what happened.
Let me reconnect real quick.
Yes.
My stupid phone.
That's what it is. It's the earbuds. Let's kick Alan Reinhart out. Let's kick him out. Now let's talk about him. What do you guys think about Reinhart? Really? Put your comments in the comments. I'm kidding. That's a joke. Let's see what people say. Jeff says the Nitro Madness 2021 Epic Blend from Rodex is great. Hi, Joe and AR. Jay says he's watching. Derek wants to know if there was a track out there that you've not been to that you wish you could go to. That's an interesting question. What's up, Jerron? What's up, Joe and Alan? Looking forward to heading out to Vegas tomorrow. Yes, you will have fun. Go get it, man. Inching towards normalcy is good. We're just inching towards normalcy. On our hands and our knees, clawing our way. If your answer isn't Galat, it should be. Speaking of Galat, PDRA was there this past weekend, and John Hall and Net, his wife, and Net, I used to race with Net at Miami Hollywood Speedway way back in the day. And so we have, continued our friendship, and they unveil like a brand new car. And I'm like, wow, what a great car. It's brand new. They're running at Galat, and they tear it up. Not necessarily the first run, but I guess the first weekend. Get on the wall, get over the wall, touch the scoreboard, but luckily no, extreme permanent damage to anything alive. And so thank goodness. But wow, just what a crazy weekend for carnage, right? Simple as that. Let's see. Looks like Lindbergh has a ride for Vegas. Yes, absolutely. We'll be talking about that momentarily. Lynette, Vegas. Yeah, I like it. Get an iPhone, Alan, says Derek Green. And just on that one, let's bring him back. You still can't hear me. Okay, so I can hear you through your phone's microphone. Your earbuds are not working. But we hear you. We hear you. That's my hand gesture to Alan. I got a bunch of hand gestures. use the laptop. No, man, I think Alan Reinhart's stable signal has been a benchmark of WFO for a long time. Like the Bluetooth earbuds, big deal. If I was him, I would shut off the earbuds and I would just go regular, but he doesn't know what I'm saying. So after we deal with Reinhart, I'll tell you about my little Pontiac GTO window experience. It's going to be, it's a half open project. All right, let's see. Here we go. Alan Reinhart is back, everybody. You share the show. Get Reinhart back. There he is.
I ditched the earbuds, so sorry if I sound a little bit weird. I don't know what happened. They didn't like lose power or anything. I don't know.
I just want you to know.
If I ever meet the guy who designed the Do Not Disturb app for Android phones, I'm going to kick him right in the shin as hard as I can.
Let's get his name going. You sound fine. And if you never, like, if this was just the way it is, this is perfect. The earbuds are even better, but this is fine. So great job. All right, let's dive into it. Vegas this weekend, all kinds of interesting stuff going on. We'll start out with Johnny Lindbergh going to be back racing Jason Rupert's big show car. Jason wasn't able to switch over his license, obviously. Exactly. I noticed the shirt. I'm excited to have Johnny back. You know, I think he's a star, great personality, personable guy, capable, very talented. And we got another funny car out there with Jason Rupert. So it's exciting on many fronts.
Yeah, I'm glad to see him as well. That's why I actually dug this shirt out specifically for that reason, since he was going to be back on track. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. I'm sure that Jason would have rather he was driving the car. He just apparently wasn't able to quite get his licensing requirements completed. So a good break for Johnny, and it's going to be great to have a new team out there and a new car. Wish them all the best. There's also going to be a couple of new sponsors out there. Jeff Deal has got a new look on the side of his car, and KGC is going to be back with Jim Dunn this weekend. So that is kind of a returning sponsor for Jim and his team. It'll be good to see them back, but it's just going to be good to be back to the track. I mean, it's not going to quite be like the first day of school, but maybe the first day after spring break or the first day after summer break, something. I mean, it's been so long since we've seen everybody.
Well, exactly. And to be back in Vegas and to have 50% capacity, which isn't a packed house, but it's going to be nice. It's going to be more than what you guys had out there in October. And it's just like we said, inching towards normalcy. But more importantly, let's get some race results in the books. We had the Gator Nationals, and now we're going to have Vegas. We'll get some results. We'll see who's fast. Is this going to be another, Steve Torrance kind of year? Are the Justin Ashleys of the world going to step up and score some wins? Like, what's going to happen? You can only spend so much time like wondering. We're finally going to have another result.
Yeah, and as we talked about at the head of the show, it'll be good to hopefully get back into some kind of a rhythm where we're racing on a regular basis instead of run one and then wait and then run one. The teams need to get back to it. Everybody is ready to go and has been for a while. So I think it's going to be good. I think, everybody's going to be obviously as well prepared as they possibly can be. The weather forecast looks like it's going to be pretty friendly for us. So, I've been saying it since the day we started doing this on XM Radio. Give us good weather, and we'll take care of the rest of it. Looks like we're going to have good weather, so let's just get to the racetrack. I can't wait. We are going to do for the alcohol guys, and I've also had some inquiries for some of the pro teams just because it's been so long. We're going to do a 4-wide staging school or seminar or whatever you want to call it on the starting line on Thursday. So I know a lot of the guys are going to come out and just kind of go through that walkthrough again because it's a whole lot easier to get your brain wrapped around the stuff when you're not sitting inside a car that makes that kind of power going, okay, I don't want to screw this up for me, and I don't want to screw this up for a whole group of other people also. So that's going to be, at least for me, how I kick off the weekend is taking care of the staging seminar out there. And then come Friday morning, it's going to be cars on the track, and let's go.
McLaw's Motorsports Top Alcohol Funny Car making the trip from Winslow, Arizona to Vegas for their first race in over a year. Well, great job, TJ. Excited about that. And to run 4-wide with the alcohol cars, that's one of my things that I'm super excited to see happen, to just get that in the books. And, when the 4-wide first came around, and everybody, let's not go there. Let's just agree to disagree. Like, we could talk about, Alan likes chocolate ice cream and I like vanilla ice cream. And we could go do a knockdown, drag out argument about why. And let's just agree to disagree. Like, some people don't like the 4-wide, others, it's their favorite thing in the world. And then there are people like me who like like it all and find something positive in it all. But for the alcohol cars, it's going to be really great. But in my experience, watching you do the starting line, the tutorial about how to stage and being there for a couple of times and even putting my foot in the beam for one of them out there in Charlotte, the people who go study it, don't have any problems, right? Like that little exercise can make all the difference in the world, as opposed to, I've been racing for 30 years, whatever it is, I got it. And then next thing you know, they don't have it.
Well, lanes 2 and 3 are the ones that are confusing just because of the way the stage and pre-stage lights are lined up on the tree. And I get it. You know, once everybody's been through it a couple of times, for the most part, it's fine. What we try to do with the tutorial is make that the first time. You know, if the first time you see it is Q1 and you mess up, then you've lost a qualifying run, or potentially you've messed up a qualifying run for 3 of your opponents. Whereas if you walk through it once, then you go, okay, and Q1 is actually the second time that you've been through it. You know, and it's interesting because I've gotten, you know, a couple of social media feedbacks and some stuff about, you know, you're insulting people's intelligence and this is ridiculous. Everybody knows how it works. Well, then they don't have to come.
Yeah.
And, you know, when we did it for the pro mods, I think that was really, from the school standpoint or from the seminar standpoint, I think that was the proof in the pudding, right? When you've got 3 different types of power adders that are all going to be staging, and you've got guys that all have, you know, their own little tricks or games or things they want to do on the starting line. And when we did the seminar for the pro mod teams out in Charlotte for their first 4 wide, we had not one single staging miscue all weekend long. Not in Q1, not all the way down to the final eliminations, not one. And I think that shows, you know, the guys and gals want to come out. They just need, you know, walk me through it. Let me understand what I need to do, and then I'll be fine. And, you know, if you don't want to come to the seminar, don't. But you've been there how many times at the racetrack when somebody's been there for the first time, right? Not 4 wide, not just the first time. Wednesday night, run what you brung streetcar night. Okay, you roll up, you stage, you go. Okay.
Yeah.
You roll up at 20 miles an hour, you roll through, you stage with the back tire, you do. Once you do it twice, you go, okay, I got this. But taking a minute to show somebody the first time, look, here's your landmark, right? When you get to here, start inching forward, start going slow. And then, you know, the first time they come to the starting line doesn't feel like the first time. It feels like something they've done before, and that's exactly what our staging seminar is all about.
You know, I do that Fast Lane Friday down at Homestead, which is one of my favorite gigs, and I love it because it's like the very first time for most of those people. And the staging, like, explanation, like what you just did, I do it 50 times a night, and still it doesn't work. There are some people, you know, they're looking at the starter, like, am I there? You look at the light, man. Just look at the light. When the light comes on, stop, and then you'll have another move. But drag racing is an interesting and complex deal. I always found it interesting early on when trying to, like, who comes to me for advice, but I tried to be helpful. Lose the left-right construct, right? Like the left lane and the right lane. Like, that's not what it is. It's 1, 2, 3, or 4. What lane are you in? I'm in lane 3. Look at the third thing, man. Third thing. If you're looking on, I'm in the right, looking at the left, and that confuses you. If you're in lane 1, you're really going to have a tough time messing this thing up. If you're over there in lane 4, same deal. If you blow it in lane 4, there should be a penalty of some sort. 2 and 3, that's where the trouble is. But whatever. I like it. I think it's interesting. I like that Bruton Smith invested so heavily in ZMAX and Vegas to create this thing. If you don't like it, that's your business, whatever. Like Reinhart says, don't watch, don't go, cover your eyes, do something.
Yeah, I mean, you know, to each his own. It's twice a year. So if it's not your favorite thing, that's fine. You know, I really feel in this particular case, and it certainly was by accident, not by design, that I think everybody's going to watch just because we haven't seen drag race in so long, right? Yeah. If we'd had the last 3 weeks we've been racing, we're going to be racing for the next 3 weeks, and you don't care for 4 wide, well, great. Then this is a good time to do your lawn or barbecue or go to the lake. But because we haven't been racing in so long, I think everybody's going to be tuning in just to get their fix. So looking forward to it. And I think the alcohol cars being out there 4 wide for the first time, I think, you know, there's only going to be one first, right? Somebody is going to go, I was the first person to do this, and this is your only opportunity to do it in an alcohol car. So whoever wins that one is going to be a little piece of history.
So people putting some comments in the comments section. Of course, we want you to comment here on WFO Radio, whether you're out there on the YouTube channel. If you're out there on YouTube, smash the subscribe button and click the bell and all that stuff. But Kev says, Vegas always reminds me of the Cruise 1,000-foot wheelie. And I got to tell you, you know, everybody, there's these moments that happen. Most of them are negative moments where you remember where you were and what you were doing. And that's one. I wasn't at the track. I wasn't going to Vegas just yet. And I remember watching on NHRA.TV on my phone in my friend's backyard. And I'm like, what did I just see? What just happened? That was insanity. One of the all-time Vegas highlights, maybe an all-time drag racing highlight. And Cruz Pedregon, I feel like they've got a good shot to go out and win.
They've got a really good car right now, with John Collins and Rip Reynolds and the whole team coming over from TJ. They're in a good position. They had a nice start in Gainesville, and I think that they've got. I think Cruz right now feels more comfortable than he has in quite a while, getting in the car and realizing all I have to do is this. I don't have to worry about the tune-up. I don't have to worry about this. I don't have to. All I have to do is worry about driving. Let the guys take care of the rest of it. And I think there are certainly guys that can do it all. But I really believe that, if you have one job to concentrate on, that you will be better at that one job than a guy who has 4 jobs to concentrate on and only has 25% of his time and energy to concentrate on that job. There are people that do it. There are people that have done it for years. But I think that puts the entire team in a better situation. John Collins knows what he's doing. Rip and the guys know what they're doing. And there's no question Cruz knows how to win races and championships. So now everybody can just focus on what they know and what they do. And I think it's going to just make the team that much stronger. I will be very, very surprised if Cruz is not a multiple-time winner this year.
Wow, that's a good statement, a big statement. And yes, they need it. After all these moves, like the big free agent comes in. If it was a pitcher, it's Garrett Cole coming to the Yankees and they don't win anything. That's a problem. John Collins and that team, it's interesting. It's a whole team, it's a whole squad, but they are the big free agent acquisition of the offseason. So everyone's going to be watching. Caleb says that was a terrible moment because it crushed the chassis. Oh yeah, I wouldn't wish it on you guys, but since it happened, and we've got it on video and it's burned on all our brains, we might as well think about it here a couple of years later, certainly. But let's hope it doesn't happen again. Also, a comment about Dell. I guess Dell at Funny Car Chaos got the bug to drive again, and Dell Wortham going to be running the family's Top Fuel dragster.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. It'll be good to see. To tell you the truth, I was a little bit surprised. Not surprised at all that they were bringing the dragster, but a little bit surprised that Dell was going to be the one driving it, because there have been times when they brought the car out, if they want to test and tune, if they want to do whatever they want to do, and they'll just stick somebody in it. But yeah, apparently Dell said, that was fun. I want to go try it again. So good on him. It'll be good to see him back in the car at the big show. And
maybe it's a keep license active kind of thing, or?
Yeah, I just, I'm trying to picture Matt Bynum. Okay. Picture that, Matt.
Yeah.
Picture that. Dell does a burnout, backs up, pulls up. Matt walks over, and on his hand, he's got 1,000 feet. So Dell doesn't shut the thing off at the 8th mile.
Right.
Can you see that?
Yes.
Or hold up a sign, says, hey, Dell, take her, not quite to the scoreboards. Since, the last time, for those of you who missed it, the last time he was in the car, Funny Car Chaos was an 8th mile race. But no, it'd be good to see him back in the car and back out there hitting the gas again, going a little bit further.
Well, exactly. And Dell has fans. That's the thing. Champion category, part of our collective drag racing lives for 30 or 40 years. He's a beloved character, gives great starting line interviews. And, you just never know. We need more of those part-time cars out there. We need more people to get going. And I think that's what we're going to experience as the season goes on, when people make the personal choice, like, all right, I feel comfortable. Let's get out there. I think we're going to see from the halfway point on, we're going to see an amazing season, but great for Dell to come back. And obviously Mike Salinas won this race a couple of years ago. They're looking to get back on the board, trying to shake off one race in 1 year.
I don't believe Mike is in. I don't believe he's entered.
Oh, no. Wow. That's not good. What's up with that? Yeah, no, you're right.
I'm not sure. I haven't spoken to him. I don't know if it's a business commitment or maybe if it's an oversight and he just hasn't. But, the clock is pretty much out now. I think they'd let him in if he decided last minute, but I don't believe that he's coming back for this one. I did notice Greg Carrillo on the list, though. We haven't seen him on the racetracks in over a year, so it'll be nice to see Greg back out there. He's got fresh, strong equipment, and I'm not saying that he's necessarily a threat to win, but I think he could go out there and ruin somebody's day.
Well, one of the guys, Restrictor Plate, who has been calling into WFO since those XM days you just referenced, he was part of the team when Greg Carrillo went to the semifinals. I guess it was in Arizona 2 years ago, like 2019 Arizona, and this motley bunch of guys are, going rounds and beating Antron Brown and all of that. They have a long-term plan. I know you know them from Arizona. they've got a plan that they've been working. They've been trying to get the car out there once, twice a year, be better and better. And it's great to see him out there. So I got the text from Restrictor Plate that they're going out there to whip everybody's butts, which I think is hysterical that they had that great race, and now they feel it. Like, hey, we did this before. We can go to the semis.
Yeah, bring it. And, at an event like this, because of the format, right, you don't have to win. You just have to be competitive. You have to go down the racetrack. You just have to advance. So, if you get into a situation where you're like, okay, geez, we've got to run Brittany, or we've got to run Clay, or we've got to run, Antron, one of the show-offs, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're way in the hole. You just got to beat two of them. So make a clean run down the racetrack. And how many times have we seen in the 4-wide when we have two of the big name drivers, right? You've got Sean Langdon and you've got Antron Brown, and they're both out there going after each other. One of them or both of them smokes the tires, that opens the door for somebody else. So the 4-wide definitely throws a new wrinkle into things, and makes it possible for one of the other teams. I'm not going to say it makes it easier, but let's say that maybe the odds go up a little bit for one of the other teams to go deeper into eliminations, and I'm all for it. Bring it. Anything that makes it fun to watch and makes it exciting, I'm voting for it.
Earl Nichols wants to know who our favorite in Top Alcohol Dragster to win the 4-wide. And so I love the fact that we're getting questions about Top Alcohol Dragster predictions. Like, people are talking about quite a few cars out there on the list. And, I don't know. That is a tough one. What say you, Alan Reinhart?
Jackie Frick.
Oh my gosh, you just took my pick. That's not cool, Alan. You're not supposed to take my pick. I'm looking at it right here.
And the reason I say that is like twofold. One, Vegas has been very good to them. Even though the team is from New York, New Jersey, that area of the world, but Vegas has been very good to them. Two, they won the regional event out there a couple of weeks ago, which was the last time we were on track. And I just think that I think they've got a good race car right now. We'll see. Obviously, when you go out there, Sean Cowie's going to be there. Joey's going to be there. He's always going to be tough. Time will tell. But I think it's not going to be too hot out there, and I think that may tend to lean towards the injected cars a little bit. But it's going to be fun to watch. Can you imagine if the final comes down to one of Randy Meyer's cars, whichever one, Jackie, Sean, and Joey, 4-wide?
Wow. Man, that would be awesome. You just created the ultimate.
Pick your favorite out of that foursome.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I think I'd have to. Well, you took my pick. Like I said, I'm a fan of Jackie Frick, though, and that team over there. Like, I think they've got a good thing going. They've started off the year strong. Maybe they're on a mission to go out and win a world championship. And races like this, to go out and become a first-time 4-wide winner, I think that's the kind of like the special sauce that makes for special seasons. These little milestones, right? That keep the energy high and the confidence high and all that. So I guess we'll just have to see how it all plays out. But yeah, but if you're racing against Sean Cowie and Joey Severance at the same time,
yeah,
when has that ever happened? And the answer is
well, I just hope that it does. And again, with the 4, you never know. If they end up in different quads or something happens, one of them goes, it might not happen. But wouldn't it be fun to watch? Wouldn't you like to be the person to say, I beat them both on the same run?
Yeah.
Or conversely, you could be the person that said, I got beat by both on the same run. The other thing that I love about 4-wide is, the whole mentality of the starting line. If you lose on a hole shot, okay, you lose on a hole shot. But losing on a double hole shot really sucks.
No, it's the worst.
If you're on whatever the number is, okay, you run 520, but you were late hitting the gas, and somebody runs 522 and somebody runs 525, and they both beat you to the finish line, then you really feel like just going and beating your head against the wall someplace. The other side of that coin is if you're the third quickest car in the quad and you advance, well, good on you. There have been a couple of times when literally the fourth quickest car, I don't believe I've ever seen the fourth quickest car win the quad, but I've seen the fourth quickest car advance, finish second and go on. So, it just puts extra pressure on everybody on both ends of the racetrack.
And one of our commenters out there whose name is not up on Facebook because he's in our group, he says, I crew for Cowie. We're coming to play hard. And,
come on.
Well, and there's a whole angle to that, Alan. I want you to expand on it. Just like a little comment right there. But we talk about these names like every week, like this guy and that guy and this guy. But every name that gets spoken actually represents a large number of people who are giving up something, a sacrifice to go to do this, to compete. And like this guy, I don't know who it is, but he's going there to win the race. He's going there to feel this sensation of working on a car and pulling cylinder heads and diving in. Sean Cowie doing the driving, his driver go out there and kick some butt. It's competition for this person. That's the essence of it.
In the entire time that I've known Sean Cowie, I've never known him to go to the track where he didn't believe he was winning the race. Those guys don't go to, well, if we go a couple of rounds, we'll have a good weekend, or, we're just looking to a little consistent. They go to win the race. And when you've got Norm Grimes tuning the thing, it's the old classic case that guys that never leave anything on the table. I don't believe Norm Grimes has ever gone to the starting line going, okay, that's Joe Castello in the other lane. If we run 540, we should beat him because, the quickest he's been all weekend is 550. Norm Grimes goes up to the starting line every time and says, I think we can run 518. Let's try to run 518. That's just his mentality. And, the way Sean drives the car is exactly the same. All you have to do is watch Sean do a burnout. And you realize that these guys did not come to tiptoe. They came to throw down, and they're ready to get in the ring and go toe-to-toe with anybody. So bring it. And I won't be the least bit surprised if Sean Cowie wins this thing. I won't be surprised if Joey wins the thing. I won't be surprised if Rachel Meyer. There's so much competition right now in the alcohol category, especially in the dragster ranks. In the funny cars, there's probably 5 guys that are a little bit ahead of the rest of the field. But in the dragster ranks, there are a whole lot of people out there that are very capable of winning, that nobody's going to go, wow, didn't see that coming. And 4 Wide, again, throws kind of a wild card into the thing that potentially somebody who's not necessarily on that favorite list, because, again, you just have to advance. So, if you finish second in your quad in round 1, you finish second in your quad in round 2, now you're in the final. And as we all know, anything can happen, whether somebody smokes the tires or somebody has a mechanical problem or anything. So you just keep going to the finish line and wait and see. So it's just part of the fun of 4 Wide. But no, looking forward to it. Like I said, I won't be the least bit surprised if Sean Cowie wins the race because it's Sean Cowie. We've seen what he's done over the past few years. And, everybody, he is the Doug Coletta of alcohol dragster, right? Is this the year he wins the championship? Because he's done everything else. He's been runner-up so many times. He's got such a good car, such a good team. And, aside from a silly round here or a stupid thing there, he could have multiple championships. It just hadn't happened yet. So, it's never a surprise if Sean wins a race, ever.
Well, exactly. And great competitor, been on WFO many times, appreciate him. Earl says, when 4 cars involved, I don't think the bigger guys have any advantage because of the staging, etc. Makes a more equal playing field. Hey, whatever the situation is, like however you view it, to believe that you can win. And that's what you've got to do. You got to go out there. You got to believe you can win. I can tell you that restrictor plate believes that Greg Carrillo can go win the race. And you're not there just to have fun, but good for you, Earl. I think that will be great. And I am looking forward to it with the funny cars. I'm looking at the entry list for alcohol funny car and thinking about, the dream final round for those guys, Doug Gordon, Sean Bellemure, Shane Westerfield, and, Brian Haug, I guess. I don't know, man. It's going to be tough, but we'll just have to see how it all plays out.
Well, see, that's in contrast, and I don't mean any disrespect to anybody else out there with an alcohol funny car, but I think that, look at the numbers the last few years, and this will bear me out. In contrast to how wide open it appears to me that alcohol dragster is, in alcohol funny car, I think you put Sean Bellemure and Doug Gordon a tick ahead of most of the rest of the field. The Houle brothers have a very strong car. I don't believe they're going to be here this weekend. There are a couple of guys down in Texas that run very well. Annie Whiteley on any given weekend has got a car that can run with anybody. But I really believe that the alcohol funny car category right now is chasing those 2 guys. And I'm talking about Sean and Doug. They look like they're a tick performance-wise above the rest of the field right now. That doesn't mean they can't be beat. It just means that going in, I think they're a little bit more of a favorite than any 1 or 2 people that you could pick in alcohol dragster, and especially since Megan retired.
Wow, very interesting. I spoke with Brian Howe down at the Southern Sportsman Showdown. We had Bo and Randy Lynn on last week, and his son, Dylan, is running a stock eliminator, that car that's prepared by KB Racing. Oh my gosh, it's an amazing car, by the way. But they were just the proud parents, like watching the kid out there. They're just hanging out. But I did get to speak with them, and they're on a mission. And they feel like they have positioned themselves to be with the two that you mentioned. We'll see if their feeling is accurate. Like, we'll know soon, not immediately this weekend, but we'll know soon. And that's what it's all about. They're not just racing to race. He wants a world championship. He wants to inject himself into that conversation we just had. There's only one way to do it, right? Go out there, win races, perform well, and step on the gas at the right time.
Well, you know, he's got the parts and pieces. He certainly's got the budget, and he's got a tuner that I don't think anybody's going to question. What he needs to do, in my mind, is get out there and race the car. I think it's very difficult to put your name on the list of Sean Bellemere if you only run 4 or 5 times a year. You've got to get out there. You've got to make the laps. You've got to get, because that helps. You know, I don't care how good you are, how good your team is. A guy that does this 20 times a year or 24 times a year. I was actually told that Sean Bellemere's schedule this year is 24 events. And a guy that gets out there every other weekend, basically, I believe has an advantage over a guy that goes out 5 or 6 times a year, just simply because you get into the rhythm, which gets everybody smooth, right? You're never throwing away a run to knock the rust off or anything like that. And you also learn something every time you go down the racetrack. So, you know, whether you win, whether you lose, whether you run low ET, whether you shake the tires, pedal it, get away with it, you now have learned something. And if I've made 100 runs down the racetrack, I have more knowledge than a guy that's only made 20. I'm not saying he can't beat me on any given day, but I'm saying on a regular overtime period, the guy that makes the most runs has the biggest advantage. You look back to, you know, John Forrest back in his heyday when he was running match races on every little backwoods track. You know, he'd go do a burnout in a parking lot if the sponsors would pay him to do it, because that was gas money to get to the next race. But the things that they learned, and, you know, nobody thought Austin Coyle needed to go to school. Nobody thought John Forrest needed more driving experience, but they're making so many runs, you can't help but learn things that are going to help you further on down the road. And I think that was a big part of his domination for the entire decade of the 90s, was simply the fact that he was making twice as many runs as everybody else was.
No, I agree. And we've seen it in the Lucas Oil ranks, sportsman ranks. I think about, you know, Scotty Richardson back in the day, just making runs and runs and runs and multiple casses in it. Like you said, if you do it 10 times and I do it 100 times, it's going to be hard for you to stay at the same pace as I'm at, because I've just gained so much more experience and had so many more, things happen to me that I can learn, think about, overcome. And that's why you got to do it. And we got to, we would hope that all of our racers that are chasing championships will be out there a lot. That's why I hope we can convert some of these part-time teams. Like I think about Joe Morrison and the Leverage guys, and they're out there running a couple of races. Like if we can find those guys some money so that they can run, 10 instead of 5 or 15 instead of 10, like that's going to help the sport. That's got to be like job one for the whole sport right now.
It is. And you look at guys like, Greg and Jason in Pro Stock. They obviously don't go run a bunch of match races, but I don't know how many casual fans understand. I talked to Greg one year, and I remember he won the championship, was runner-up, but he had a pretty good year. And we were talking about the number of runs made. And he said, oh, yeah. He said, well, in actual competition, he said, I made 162 runs. Okay. He said, at Mooresville, I made 310. And because that's what they go to test. I mean, it literally is across the street from their shop. They're not making quarter-mile runs, but in a Pro Stock car, you don't need to, right? If you get the thing in third gear, you've learned a lot. And so they would go over there and make runs. And that's where they learned clutch packages. That's where they learned gear ratios, starting line RPM, all the kind of things. There are so many things, and just because I lived in the world for so long, right? The number of times when you go to the starting line and you got your best call, you've got your books, you got your stuff, and you go make a run, and you made a pretty good run. But you go back and look and go, ugh, we should have left the starting line at 7,600 instead of 7,700, because that would have been the difference. That would have been the difference between our 986 60-foot time and a 983, okay? A couple of thousandths of a second. But that 100 RPM, and you know that. If you've made that extra 300 runs, then you don't make that mistake. Even though you made a decent run, and even though everybody stands thinks you did a good job, and okay, you qualified fourth, that extra 3 thousandths in 60 feet is going to be, almost 100th at the finish line, and maybe you qualify first. But the number of times everybody goes back and looks and goes, we missed it by this much. And if you had it to do over again, you would. I used to love living at the top end of the racetrack on the Friday night stuff when Alan Johnson was in his heyday, when Greg Anderson was running so well, when they had 4 or 5 cars that were out there really battling it out, and whoever goes first, it was always fun. Alan Johnson was so good inside the car, just from an analytical standpoint. He'd come down and he'd run, pick a number, right? He runs 676. Get it all? And you go, it just this much at the top of second gear. He said, Greg's going to outrun me 5,000. And it's like, come on, man. And then sure enough, Greg had outrun him 5,000. And that's how critical those cars are. And that's just the only way you learn that is to make more and more and more runs down the racetrack. And so that's a huge advantage right now that Sean Bellemare has. I think that, Doug Gordon doesn't make quite as many runs as Sean, but they're making a lot of runs down the racetrack, and that is a huge advantage. And so, when Brian gets out there and starts making more runs, he certainly has all the tools to run with those guys on a regular basis. I think he just needs to get out there and do it.
I love it. And Brandon Snyder, known for his pro mod prowess, will be running Annie's car this weekend, and that's exciting. Thanks to Wade for that note. I think that's exciting too. I like Brandon Snyder. He's a interesting character, to say the least. So anytime there's cross-pollination, I'm all for it.
I don't know, but I'm going to be interested to see. My thought is that there's going to be a torque converter in that car instead of a clutch, and that Brandon is out there basically shaking it down and getting everything set for Andy to get back in it, driving with the torque converter. I don't know that. I'm just thinking that makes sense to me. I know they experimented a little bit with the torque converter when Stevie was driving the thing. I know that, that there's at least been discussion. So that would be my thought, that they're coming out and using this as a test session with Brandon driving so that they can get the car sorted out, and then Andy will be back in it at the next race. That's my guess.
I like it. All right. I got a couple of questions here. I'm going to rapid fire them to you just because people are putting them in the comment section. I want to make sure they feel good about it. So qualifying sessions that are scheduled, I understand it's 3.
4.
4
qualifying. You mean for the pros?
For both, for all. Like how much? What are we scheduled?
I believe it's printed online, but I believe the alcohol cars are going to get 4, and I believe the nitro cars are going to get 3.
4 for the alcohol cars, 3 because Spence had put that up there. I wanted to make sure it was correct, and so you guys have.
I believe that it's been posted online. You go to NHRAracer.com and look for the detailed run schedule that usually comes out about a week before the event, and that will tell you. We start at 8 o'clock with stock eliminator and what the order is, and that will give you an idea. Obviously always subject to change if there's delays, if there's weather, if there's issues, but that will give you an idea. And I do believe 4 for the alcohol cars, 3 for the Camping World Series. That's great. And Jay is out there. It's so funny how you take for granted some of this information. He's like, where do you find the entry list? Right. And it's like, oh my gosh, NHRA.com. And then you click the banner ad, event information, and then you click competitors, and you can go category by category and see who's actually in NHRA.com right on the homepage. Right there. The top of the page is the banner ad, and at screen right 2/3 over says competitors. Click on that, and it'll come up, and you can open class by class and see who's going to be there. By the way, you can still always send me an email, announcer@NHRA.com, if we don't get to your question on the air. If you got something that needs a more detailed answer, just shoot me an email. I'll get back to you. But you can look up stock eliminator entry list. Like that's what's great about it. You can, speaking of Dylan Howe, he's going to be there with his automatic 69 Camaro prepared by KB Racing. Just an example, you can scroll through all the different people that are going to be out there running. Greg Luniak, for instance. It's pretty interesting to see who's all. Paul Wong going to be there. What's Paul going to have? Oh, automatic. Paul lives in Vegas. Paul's not going to miss that. His wife's probably there too. And Stephanie, absolutely, right below. Brian McClanahan. Her car's cooler. Is she in the Barracuda? Stephanie? Yeah. Yes. Yeah, her car's way cooler than his. Sorry, Paul. It's true. But I think it is great that we're going to be going. Again, Jay says, thank you so much. Let's see. Chuck says, looking forward to hear your call of the 4 wides in Vegas this weekend. Hope to run into you. Sure wish you were going to be here, Joe. Looking forward to some more nitro, says Chuck. Well, Chuck, I'll be there. Hopefully we'll have a chance to bump into each other. I know the tower is still kind of on COVID lockdown. Yes. And I'm not going to have a whole lot of freedom to be out and about, but I'll try to get out here and there when I can. So hopefully we'll cross paths. Now, I do want to mention the Division 4 action that happened this past weekend. Jim Kimbrough over Roger Brogdon
Big win out there. And, the Lucas Oil Series action is always cool. Brogdon, I love hearing his name. He's doing so much for competition eliminator racing with that extra money that he is offering up. Super stock Greg Stanfield over Brett Candice. Stock Jerry Emmons. Jerry getting a shout out. And whenever Jerry goes out and gets a big win, I gotta thank him for putting the WFO radio sticker on the car.
Yeah, the problem with the Emmons boys is there's so damn many of them.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, who'd you beat? Emmons. Who you got next round? Emmons. What happens after that? Emmons.
Yeah. I don't know. He beat Britt Cummings in the final. I think Britt might be a little annoyed because he's made 2 really big final rounds. He was the final at the Southern Sportsman Showdown and just came up a little bit short, but Britt Cummings is running real well.
That's Division 4 royalty when you're talking about the Cummings family, you're talking about the Emmons, you're talking about Stanfield. Believe that's Division 4 royalty when you get into stock and super stock.
Well, exactly. And the people, speaking of experience, like those 3 guys we just listed, Greg Stanfield, Jerry Emmons, Britt Cummings, how many runs down the racetrack do they have combined?
18
million. 18 million. Lyndon Rutland over Trine and Super Comp. Super Gas was Steve Collier over Mark Skipper. John Liebham was over Tony Stewart in Super Street. Alan Firestone won on his birthday, from what I understand. Alan picking up the win in Top Sportsman, and Chance Bullock in Top Dragster. Big win down there in Division 4 at Houston, which will be there not long from now.
Yeah, congratulations all. Looking forward when we get down there for the Nationals because, Houston is always a fast, fun place.
Yes. Any final thoughts before we get into, race mode? I'm looking at the entry list right now for Pro Stock, and has Pro Stock run 4 wide in Vegas? Did that?
Yeah.
Okay. Because, with the split schedule and everything, I kind of am unsure of many.
Actually, maybe they didn't. Maybe Pro Stock wasn't in Vegas last year when we did the 4 wides. But, Pro Stock has run 4 wides. So aside from the fact that there's so many new faces in Pro Stock that haven't run 4 wide, but no, they'll, Vegas is not a favorite Pro Stock track simply because it's got some natural altitude. It affects everybody the same, but you don't see the magical numbers in Vegas simply because they've got to deal with the altitude. So, but having them 4 wide is going to be a good thing. And watching the youngsters deal with 4 wide for the first time should be fun also. Exactly. And Aaron Strong going to try to qualify. There's more cars than there are spots, and you know how much fun that is. The Quadra team are going to be rolling in. I'm just super excited about Pro Stock this year. But I said it from jump, Erica, Greg, and a couple of others, like who's going to go out there. Greg Anderson with that first big shot, 95th win at the Gator Nationals. We'll see if Greg can get on a roll, because that's what it's the old guard, the Geritol set.
Old
Erica,
right. Yeah. She's mid-30s now. Come on. It's all downhill. Look at all these racers like Laughlin, the Quadras, Troy Coughlin Jr., Mason McGay. The kid's a teenager, man. Dallas Glenn. Yeah. Like, these are all fresh names. If you haven't picked someone to root for and against in Pro Stock, well, now is the right time to do it. Get back in. I agree. And it should be fun to watch. I'm just looking forward to getting out there. I got a couple things I got to get taken care of here at the shop before I leave, but man, I am looking forward to getting there. There you go. Yes, and Erica loves Vegas. We'll see what happens. Alan, great job as usual. Thank you so much. Have fun. I'll be watching on NHRA.TV all weekend long, regardless of where I am, what I'm doing. I will be taking it with me on my mobile device and enjoying what's going on out there in Vegas. Have a great time, and I look forward to speaking with you next week with actual results. Imagine that. Yeah, I can't wait. Thanks, Joe. It's always a pleasure. Sorry about the audio or technical glitch or whatever. And the inventor of the Do Not Disturb button for Android, I'm coming for you. Yeah, there it is. Right in the chin. Shake your fist at him, Alan. There he goes. NHRA's Alan Reinhart, guys. Thank you so much, Alan. Really appreciate it. And Alan has been coming on WFO radio for 15 years, back our XM satellite radio days. Did the show on NASCAR radio for a while, and then we had to totally reinvent the program, and we started talking drag racing. And reached out to NHRA. They put me together with Alan, and who would know? That was in 2005. Who knew? 16 years later, we'd still be doing the show each day on Tuesdays. NHRA Nitro. Please subscribe to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud. Listen to the audio-only podcast. You can get it on WFO Radio. There are so many places to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. is really the answer. But also YouTube. We're trying to get over that 1,000 subscriptions for YouTube. We need all of you guys to do it. Just go to the YouTube page, WFO Radio TV. You can get there through the website and, smash the subscribe and notification button and get on board with YouTube. All right, put your comments in the comments section, and I will run down the comments, and we'll talk a little four-wide and just some final thoughts here on this show. But now I want to tell you about the people, just another note of the people who make it possible for me to do this, like Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School, Frank and Lana Hawley. Driving around the country with the Dragster Adventure, making it possible for people like you and me to drive a dragster with zero like physical investment. Like, you don't have to buy a car or buy a helmet or try to talk someone into letting you drive their car. Like, no, you get the dragster experience with none of the fuss. It's called the Dragster Adventure. Go to frankhawley.com. And of course, if you check it out, tell them you heard about it on WFO Radio, number one. And number two, tell us that you're doing it. Because I love checking in with listeners who, whether it be Marvin's Coffee, which some of our listeners, they get the coffee and they tell me about the coffee and they post pictures on social and all of that. Like, oh man, I never knew it could be this great. It's really the greatest thing I've done for myself in my whole life. Marvin Rodak, 817-924-6821. If you drive a dragster, well, that's the same thing. Let us know. Samtech.edu, the School of Automotive Machinists and Technology. Start your education at full speed. Blockhead CNC programs, motorsport, EFI tuning. They're approved to train veterans under the GI Bill. If you are, we talked about it on the Ignition Show, Bobby Graham, who is a diehard WFO listener, patron, right? He's a member of our VIP listener club and, was co-hosting the show because he's a patron. And we were talking, he's a machinist. He worked in a machine shop for many, many years. And, Bobby's in his 60s and I'm older. But if I was 25 years old, 20 years old, 18 years old, 30 years old, this would be what I would do, because you just can't beat it. Being involved in racing, motorsports, engine building, machine shop, that stuff's not going anywhere. It's going to be around. And your skills are at a premium. Not everybody can do it. That's something I've learned from hosting this Hidden Horsepower podcast. Speaking of podcast, Apple Podcasts, that's a place where you can go to subscribe to the podcast. Spotify, just type in Hidden Horsepower and write us a review. But we've learned so much. Warren Johnson episode is up now, and it's really a throwback audio to the Engine Performance Expo, but so much knowledge about just engine tuning. And that's where Warren coined the phrase, you can't tune it up if you blew it up. Can't tune it up if you blew it up. Warren Johnson on Hidden Horsepower. But it's all about showing you that ring seal is very important. Over 40% of your engine's friction comes from rings. So you might as well lower that by going to totalseal.com. Also, you can get a 10th anniversary t-shirt. T-shirts are flying off the shelves. Get them before they're gone. nitrofishracing.com. And if you go to the WFO Radio website, for just $10, I'll send you a face covering, some stickers, a patch, all kinds of good stuff. For $10, can't beat that. And that includes shipping. So I'm really losing money on the deal. But who cares? You'll be out there and you'll be wearing your WFO Radio face covering and you'll be out there like telling the story, preaching the gospel, like John Force used to say, of WFO in this community that we have assembled. And I think about Jerry Emmons winning with the WFO Radio sticker and all the people who have done so well for us. Matt Hartford, going to be a threat to win. Remember, Hartford was quick out there at the Gator Nationals. KB is making big power. Those KB cars making big power. And Hartford did not have a preseason test and went out there and had a problem. Would it have been revealed with a preseason test? Like, I don't know, but I expect them to be fully up to speed out there in Vegas. The four-wide aspect, it definitely changes some things. And luck can be a factor, which I'm okay with. You don't have to win the quad. You don't have to win. You have to get down. You have to beat two cars. To me, it's interesting. Just like everything else, don't beat yourself, but the chances of beating yourself less. All right, look at all the comments in the comment section. Plus, Jerron is going to be out there. And the Flying Airbrush is going to be trying to win. So let me see. Let me try to catch up with all these things. But then we're going to talk four-wide for a few seconds. If you're a listener and you hate four-wide, if you're watching the show, you hate four-wide, I'm talking to you. How about use this event to reevaluate where your head's at. I know at the start I said, hey, I'm not going to try to talk you out of liking vanilla ice cream if I like chocolate or vice versa. But you love drag racing. This is part of drag racing. The teams go race. Everyone's going. We're going through the exercise. You can have your arms folded and say, I hate it, or you can open your mind to something you don't like and try again. Like, I believe that whole thing, opening your mind to trying things that you're not into, or maybe one time in your life you didn't like, and maybe you like it now. It's like food, right? Like, oh man, I hate onions. And then you're older and all of a sudden you love them. You just don't know. It's a different skill set. It happens twice a year. You got to get down. You want to get down first, but if you can't get down first, you get down second. There's definitely a lot to look at. So it's hard to watch. I find myself having to like kind of pull back and watch the whole race instead of one car in particular, especially with the nitro cars. But in the end, whoever will have accomplished this will have done something special. Bruton Smith, who loves drag racing, who's got many of the finest facilities out there, this is his contribution to growing the sport. And we have seen, both in Vegas and in Charlotte, that the non-diehard fans, casual fans, new fans, future diehard fans are attracted to the spectacle of four-wide. Turned this race, the spring race in Vegas, from kind of a ghost town into, at least in 2019, the last one I went to, a packed, can't miss event. So all of those things, if you like drag racing, you should probably be like, all right, this is what we're doing 2 races a year. Would you rather be in an empty with 50% capacity? I'm just making up stuff now that I believe to be true. With 50% capacity, there'll probably be more people there than that used to go to the spring races when it was too wide. It's just, you used to want to go to the October race in Vegas because of the SEMA show, because of the countdown, because of the playoff significance. This makes this race a must-go-to event if you're on the West Coast. Why would you not want to see 45,000 horsepower launch off the starting line and see what it's like? And if you're a pro stock racer or an alcohol funny car racer, why would you not want to be part of that? And so the idea that someone would not watch it on television, that's just crazy to me. All right, let's see what Angel says. Angel had a question about import. Any chance of having Alan answer the import question? So now I got to scroll back, Angel, but I'm not afraid to do it. Angel was watching, got a lot of comments out there and said, do you think it's time to bring back the imports? And I saw imports at Orlando Speed World during the World Door Slammer Nationals, and I felt like that was one of the best fields of import drag racing I have seen. I thought they were spectacular and fun. I don't know if there's a place for them at the national event level right now, because the categories, like there was no one category that was super populated, and my knowledge is limited. So, feel free to educate me, Joe at WFOradio.com. But what would it be like that classic, that old school import? There were 8 cars in the category. There were 2 that were over and above the rest, and they were erratic, like crazy erratic. Fun, but how many tickets is that going to sell? Like, that's the thing. It's like, who's coming to see that? Would they pack the house? I don't know. But I appreciate your interest. I'm not against anything. I'm open to discussion of everything and see what happened. Let's see. Pro Stock, Vincent Nobile. That's right. The first one. I remember driving him to get the banner. Thank you for jogging that memory. Vincent Nobile, I was doing a WFO interview. He's like, hey, can you bring me up to the starting line to try to get the banner? Because when racers win, there's that whole winner's circle banner, and they all vie for it because there's only one banner. And everybody wants to have the banner. So NHRA was in the very awkward situation of having a nitro team, a pro stock team. Everybody wanted the banner from the winner's circle deal. And the thing's like 20 feet long, it's big. And Vincent went up, and if you search the WFO radio archive, you can actually listen to the process by which he competed for the banner. It was like a random drawing, and I think we caught all of that on audio, and it is in our podcast archive. Believe that. Let's see, Rob is out there. What's up, Rob? 4 wide. 4 lied. Oh, it's feeling a little weird there, Rob. I don't know. I like to hear that word. Let's see. Vegas, Erica Friendly. Yes. Michael Heiner, where you been? Just jumping in. Hey, fellas, you missed it, Michael. We had a long dissertation about you and your failures as crew chief. It's terrible. No, kidding, Michael. I was wondering where you were at. Love the Mustang Pro Stock body. I agree. Angel, any chance of having an answer? Not this week because I missed it. We'll get him in the future. Foster and Rice have had D7 juniors running 4 wide for 3 years at the D7 finals. Way to go, TJ. Well, I love both of those guys. 4 tried, 4 lied, 4 cried, 4 wide. It rhymes. I know Rob from out there. He's got a cool Nova. Love seeing the new faces in Pro Stock Dreams. Get my license, says Jeff. Way to go, Jeff. Let me answer for him. It ain't happening anytime soon. I just feel like we've been down the road, man. I don't feel like there's I hate to say no to any idea, but the NHRA, in my opinion, has gone through a 5-year period of trying everything. Small tire, big tire, outlaw, grudge, no prep, extreme prep, Top Fuel Harley. Like, there is not really anything that they haven't tried. They've tried everything. And in my opinion, and I guess they have metrics that they could, I don't think that there was any race that I went to that I said, wow, who are all these new fans? Like, who are all these people? Who are they here to see? These are not like our regular normal fans. These are a new mass group that is here to see something. Like, I still haven't seen that. You go to an NHRA national event, people are there to see 330 mile per hour, top fuel dragsters and funny cars. They're there to see John Force and Ron Capps, who Ron Capps will be on our show tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern time. First conversation of 21 with Ron Capps. He's got the new crew chiefs. He's got a whole new operation. He's definitely out of his comfort zone, if there is such a thing. So our conversation with Capps tomorrow is must see. Feel free to chime in with your questions and thoughts as Ron Capps goes live, 4 p.m. Eastern time. Mark it down. But through all the experimentation in NHRA, I just don't really think, I'm not saying it wasn't a good idea. It was a good idea. I'm not saying it didn't work. No, it worked. It was great. But I don't think anybody has brought in their own fans in mass, like 1,000 people that showed up to see the whatever special thing. And I think that will also be case for imports. We had radical, crazy imports doing their thing. People would watch them, the drag racing fans, but I don't know that a lot of people would come to see him. But then maybe I'm wrong. Who knows? Let's see. Back to that. Jay, all the way WFO. Let's see what's Division 7 junior dragster father and mother involved in food truck explosion last night. Many, oh my gosh, that's terrible. Thank you for the link, TJ. I'll have to go look. Angel, no doubt. Doubt he knows anything about imports. Yeah, man. Brass knuckler. I do know. I know about the Mastermind car, and I was on the property and witnessed it with my own eyes when they set the record at 262 miles per hour. So unless you were there with me watching it in Orlando, you don't have that incredible import stat. Like, I was there when, and I was. So that's kind of cool. That's what I know. And I did a fair amount of questioning. Hugo Umpiero, who is the voice of drag racing, the announcer of Puerto Rican drag racing. He joined us on the mic, me and Al Tucci, and we peppered him with all kinds of questions. I looked in the cars and I saw that everything is now carbon fiber. It's pretty much everything that has happened in Pro Stock and Pro Modified chassis stuff has happened to those little cars. The Mazda, MX-5, I've seen some of them. I'm not ready to go out there and call races all by myself, but I'm interested. Brass knuckler taking a shot at me. Yeah, brass knuckler. WFO Joe, what's up, Mark? How you doing? Great job this past weekend. Import race scene is impressive. They're fast. That's the thing. Like those little old school imports, they were running a tick, like 500 behind Pro Stock cars. they were right with the, now they got a power adder, some of them, and they weigh less, but still amazing. And they're fun to watch because they're all over the place. I sported the WFO sticker on the back of Jezebel. Way to go, Jay. Thank you for doing it. Now we'll send WFO stickers to anybody, even if you don't want the face covering. Just go to the website. There's a self-addressed stamped envelope address. Send it. I'll do it. Thanks for the home economic on the Ignition show. Earlier start time, perfect idea with the difference. Good and educational show every time. Support Joe on Patreon. Yeah, Kev, thank you. Kev is one of our Patreons. He is over there paying in pounds because he's over there in the UK. We're trying to get him his WFO t-shirt and everything, but he loved the home economics stuff on Ignition. We got into air fryers, like which air fryer is the best and all of that. Sometimes it goes in a different direction. Thanks, Jeff. Thanks, Phil. Is there a track you've not been to, you'd like to, and just for the heck of it, current, past? Now, Galat, I would like to go to Galat to see their scoreboards and to see the facility. And if you saw John Hall's crash, that he touched the scoreboard, it was very frightening. It actually got me thinking about that whole aspect. Safety is part of it, not just at any one track, like all tracks. I always think about the next big safety deal, and that car came very close to, it did touch the scoreboard, but I don't want to turn this into a negative thing. We should just always be thinking about safety at all times and how we can improve and things we can do to make things more safe. That video got a lot of traction this past week, and I'm sure you've seen it. That having been said, I would love to go to Galat because it's a brand new facility, and I like to see new facilities, but I also like to see new interpretations, much like Major League ballparks. If you're building a drag strip, like whoever builds a drag strip, maybe you don't need, 25,000 seats. Maybe you need 15,000 seats and a bunch of common hangout areas, places to go watch while you're having a beer, places to be, social areas where you can go and hang out. Everybody wants to be on the rail. Like the drag strips in the world have really yet to benefit from major restructuring from all the things that have been learned in the NBA and the NFL and Major League Baseball, that people don't want to sit in their seats the whole time. They want to have places to go and unique viewing opportunities and viewing observation decks and hangout areas and places for social interaction during non-pandemic times. I don't think too many of the drag racing facilities have done that yet, and I understand why. It costs money, but that's what people want. And from what I understand, Galat's got some of those, and so I guess I would go there. As far as current tracks, if you've never been there, Bandamere always gets the call because the whole thing is like one big non-traditional viewing area, being in the side of a mountain. Monica says, thanks for another great show. Love the Tuesday show. Thank you very much. Ron Caps tomorrow. Angel, there's several cars running 570, 580s of the quarter mile. I think I saw a 560 at 262. I think it was a 562 at 262 is the run. And it was Lizzie Musey's old nitrous car, which was a Dodge. And it had a 2JZ engine under the hood. And it went out there and got the job done. So there you go. Joe Castello quoting import lingo. Excited for four wides, semi-organized chaos. I'm excited for you guys. You guys got a quick and fast car. Heiner, get it done, man. Let's get Michael Heiner on here next week. Listen to the Ignition show this past weekend on my TV with Spotify. How'd you do that, Monica? Like, what do you do? Like, hey, Alexa, subscribe to WFO Radio on Spotify. Is that how you do it? Or is it like, hey, Siri, subscribe to WFO Radio Podcast? Does that work? Did everybody's Siri just go crazy because I did that? Oh, my mistake. Here's Bass Knuckler. I'm just kidding, bud. All right, we don't have to fight. No, you got a Volkswagen doing a wheel stand right there. And one of our first attention in the pits, which there's a new attention in the pits out there, was the Panzerwagen. And I love non-traditional race cars. So I'm all about it. Stephen Densham is driving this weekend. Thank you very much. Love Stephen. Four wide is cool and all, but the speeds, it speeds up the show and seldom four cars make it down. The downside, I agree. No problem, but possible, like you said, may not know. Well, the things that make it in the NHRA are categories that are well supported and run in many places. It's a supply and demand kind of thing. Like you've already got over demand for the spots in the pit area. The real estate in the pit area is really the greatest challenge right now. And you've got top sportsman, top dragster, comp eliminator, pro mod. These are classes that are kind of coming in and out. So, and there's, 40 of them that are ready to come in and pay and race and compete at a very high level and in a way where they're competent and they get down the racetrack and they don't, oil the track for the most part. If the category is going to be adopted and it's popular, I think the NHRA could adopt a lot of different things, but it's got to be a category that's extremely well supported and all over the country. Like, I think we could probably pull some imports at the Gator Nationals and get them in. Like, they shipped them all in from Puerto Rico for the World Door Slammer Nationals. And frankly, I think that's one of the best import races that we've seen. And Wes and those guys at Drag Illustrated did a great job of, at the very last second, accommodating them. It was great. So I got all the knowledge that I dropped on you today, literally all of it. You can always enjoy a little bit of vanilla, a little bit of chocolate. The swirl, like if you're going soft ice cream, if you're going soft serve, like this is a very Ignition Show topic now. Soft serve versus regular ice cream. Like, where do you go? And do you go with the swirl? Like, I think if you are going soft serve and you don't go chocolate vanilla swirl, you definitely have got some sort of psychological issue. Something. We're still racing. That's all that matters. Exactly. It's great to see Jason Rupert. Going to have Johnny Lindbergh in the car. I agree. I'd like to see Jason out there too, but I think Johnny is a star. Like, I'm a fan of Johnny Lindbergh. Johnny Lindbergh, he does it all. He's an interesting character, but he builds, he makes, he works, he's tuning, he does it all. There should be a place for Johnny Lindbergh on the tour full time. He's built his own fan base, the Lindbergh brothers. They got a rep. I like to see Johnny out there as much as is possible. So Jason's going to let him run the car. That's great. That's one of our downsides with the sport of drag racing at this moment. 4 wide is good, but I don't like that it speeds up the day, which is not fun. It does speed up the day a little bit. I got to get you there. You're right. Great to see Rupert going out, John. Everyone's loving Johnny. More competitors, more action. No, it does shorten up the day. Lewis Bloom, we used to talk about that. He's like, yeah, you lose a round. It does shorten the day. You lose a round. It's true, but it's a unique kind of thing. Super VX, Super Street, the only class which is Volkswagen is allowed. They don't get burnt down by us. Yeah, I guess air cooled. Whatever happened to Vincent Nobile? Vincent Nobile ran some Mountain Motor Pro stock last year. He's still out there. Still a great driver. He's working. He's doing his thing. And I fully expect Vincent to be back when the opportunity represents itself. When someone needs a driver of a pro stock car and they want someone who's super competent, they reach out to Vincent. Thanks, Joe. I'll definitely send an email. Send me the email, joe@wforadio.com. Just the license first, says Jeff. Gene and Gary Berg used to dominate NHRA in the 60s and 70s. The Berg 67 Bug. Cool. Imports in Orlando was crazy. Well, it was. And look, here's the thing. Back at Moroso Motorsports Park in Miami Hollywood Speedway in the early 90s, there would be the rotary guys. The rotary guys, man. Like that crazy noise, and it's just a different pitch, and it's super loud. And I guess the way that they tune the Wenkel is by just holding it wide open, and it's just like I don't want to use the word annoying because everybody has a certain sound that they like and a certain sound that they hate. But if you like the sweet sound of a small block Chevrolet, like this is a different sound. And I don't know, maybe I was scarred because these guys they would be holding it wide open and it would blow out your eardrums. And I remember the guy who built my car, Ernie McDaniel, one night, it's quick 16 night. And he's there. He's got a 565 nitrous, fogger, plates. He's trying to run in the 7s. He's got an amazing car. And pitted 2 doors down from him was one of the rotary guys. And incessant tuning, like just incessant, like 15, 20 minutes of like wide open. And eventually it just drives you mad. And Ernie went over there and there was an explosive moment. Must you do that? And their answer was yes. This is how we tune the thing. And I don't know, maybe I'm scarved. What I saw at the World Door Slammer Nationals was great. And me and Heiner, we talked about it. We're like, these cars are incredible. But the Orlando Speed World insiders told me that those guys, the guys that drive those cars, like part of being an import guy, and if I'm wrong here, send me an email or get me on social. Part of being an import guy is that you never lift, which is against my religion. I think you got to lift. And that is a big difference. Like to have some sort of thing, like you never lift, you always stay in it, some sort of like, it's a courage thing. I never lift because I'm not like, and I was told by several people that's part of it. That's not good. I'm against it. And I would tell anybody that to their face. NHRA tracks need to start adding those digital scoreboards. Yes. Listen, I could spend other people's money all day long, but I really think that the reason I want to go to Galat is to see the scoreboards. They put NHRA TV on the scoreboards. There have been rain delays where I think Nate Hershey was at Galat for a fling and NHRA was somewhere else, and they had NHRA.TV playing on their scoreboards. I think Sunoco Vision, except for everybody always. That's amazing. And so if I'm spending tracks money, tracks need to improve. That's a great bell and whistle. And that's probably the reason I would love to go to see Galat. I haven't been there for any events, of course, and it's kind of out of my way to just get to randomly. Let's see. Sunday, I got my NHRA certification for my Thunderbird Indy test tomorrow. Well, congratulations. Way to go. I wish I knew who you were so I could tie it to someone. Yes, Bandamere, home track. Michael Heiner just set off my Alexa. Did I? I'm sorry, Michael Heiner. I'm sorry to set off your Hey, Alexa. No, I'm kidding. I've got one too. Amazon sent me one. It's neat. I know Doug Colley, the Panzerwagen. Yeah, he was one of our first and most watched Attention in the Pits. Colley's a great fabricator too. I just say Spotify to my remote and my list comes up on my TV. I love it. Yeah, it's amazing. Look at that. It's Wes. What's up, Wes? Great job. I haven't talked. No debrief session though, Wes. We should have had a debrief session. It's okay. I'll see you somewhere. Do you think Mountain Motor Pro Stock should replace 500 cubic? Absolutely not. Definitely not. 100% no. And I love the Mountain Motor Pro Stock guys. Love them. DeFlorian, I've been all over them, learned a whole lot about them. I think they're great. They are different and can survive on their own. They are unique. I would never do anything to get rid of 500 cubic inch Pro Stock, no matter what. I think about look. This is the 2021 NHRA Media Guide, assembled dutifully with lots of great labor by Allie Bland. Way to go, Allie. When I think about the Media Guide and the covers of all of those things that happened over the years, you would have Snake, Garlitz, Muldowney, Bob Glidden, or Grumpy Jenkins, or Warren Jones. There was always Pro Stock. There should always be Pro Stock. We should never lose track of the fact that Pro Stock is as part of this thing, this show that is NHRA drag racing, as anything. And yes, they're 100 miles per hour slower, and they don't throw fire out on purpose. But what's happening under the hood of a Pro Stock car is as incredible of a feat of physics and engine dynamics as anything. Love Pro Stock. There should always be Pro Stock. And I think the car counts and the people who are getting involved in the great racing speaks for itself. Hologram scoreboards. Yeah, I like it. I think allowing imports, maybe 4 or 5 in Pro Mod. Okay. Like that 2JZ Mastermind car in pro mod. First of all, like, I don't know the weight of the car, so I can't say apples to apples what it is. But yeah, maybe allow them in there once. But I think that they lose out on raceability. That's where I think that they lose out. Like, when you take a refined pro mod car and put it up against that, like, how long does it take to stage? Staging precisely over and over again, repeatability, like all of those things. You can make a car go fast once. At Funny Car Chaos, John Robinson had his diesel dragster out there, and it was really great. They did a jet car versus diesel dragster match race, and just problems staging, little problems. Like, part of being successful racing is repeatability. You've got to be able to go out there and do it over and over again. So can that 2JZ turbo car that runs 262 miles per hour? Yes, they will qualify. And I don't know what the weight is, but what happens when they got to go up there and cut a 20 reaction time against Stevie Fast, who's going to put down an amazing run, 4 times in a row? That's where I think they end up losing out. And, novelty cars. I would see it. I think it would be cool. Corey Savoy. Should the 4 wide for rounds 1, 2, and 3, but the top 2 of I'm already confused, Corey. What'd you do to me? Should be 4 wide for rounds 1 and 2 and 3. But then the top 2 of round 3 should go head-to-head in the final. I like it. Just like that. You see? You never say no to anything. I agree, Corey. There's your extra round. You solve a lot of problems with that, Corey. You're solving a lot of problems with that, Corey, right there. You get an extra round. It's a 2-round final, but that takes away the 4-wide racing. They're definitely going to say no, but I get what you're saying. And then you only have 1 winner, and you don't have to get rid of all those crazy, the 4-wide stats. You don't have to use them. It used to be RX6 in Denver, pink and very fast. Let's see. Pop and Bang of Imports. You should visit Malta. I think they have only a handful of V8s on the island. Yeah, you race what you got. Run what you brung. Sorry, Joe. It was Ricky. Yeah, Ricky. Oh, okay. Thank you, Ricky. Yeah, Ricky and the Thunderbird. He's got a WFO sticker on that car. Look at Jeff saying hi to Wes, their own social stuff. And Ron Merkel. Ron Merkel. Pontiac guy from South Florida, loves the Miami Hollywood tree. That's the tree, Ron. Ron Merkel. I've raced Ron Merkel many times over the years. And, he's got a Pontiac. He's got a very cool, I can give you something where you can find Ron Merkel right now. All of you can get the whole deal. You can go to YouTube and type 1967 Pontiac Firebird towing 67 Firebird race car or something. But anyway, his tow car and his race car are the same car. And he goes to the races like that all the time. Pretty cool. All right, everybody. Cool hanging out with you. I hang long at the end of these Reinhart shows because I just want to talk racing with the audience out there. Hopefully you guys are doing well. I am bummed that I'll be watching on NHRA.TV this weekend, but there are reasons. Don't want to blow your ears out with the music. But Atlanta, I will be there. Also, speaking of Miami Hollywood, there is a Miami Hollywood Speedway Hall of Fame reunion event going on this weekend here in sunny South Florida. So I will be going to that as a Miami Hollywood Speedway Hall of Famer. And should be pretty interesting. That's on Sunday. How about running funny cars and Top Fuel simultaneously? Look, I'm all for spectacle stuff. I'm the guy. I love it. You can't do that in an NHRA national event. Like, we can't do that. And then we'll take the top 2 in funny car and then the top 2 in Top Fuel and we'll run them against each other. Like, we could. I really am thrilled and impressed by the sport as it is. Sammy. What's up, Sammy? Sammy's going to be in Vegas. Add to the show. Well, okay, yeah. Pause. If there is any category that we need to add tomorrow, it's the A Fuel Altered, like Richard Hartman and Kevin Kinsley and the War Wagon. Like, that show that I saw was pretty awesome. We had Richard on the show last week. Check that out in the archive. It was pretty spectacular. And Richard and Dave Fletcher, if you didn't watch that one, both were the first to 300 miles per hour in some way. Can't wait for tomorrow's show. We're on caps. It's going to be awesome. Top Fuel 4 wide is what I meant. I agree. Give me a roulette number. I'll put $5 on it, and send you, if it hits. Okay, 13. Hall of Famer. Cool stuff. Cannot wait till tomorrow. Go Ron Caps, and that'll do it. Thanks, everybody. Hopefully you are great. Check out the website, WFOradio.com. Subscribe to everything, and we'll see you next time on WFO Radio.